Wisconsin can be so cold. The scales of justice can erode. If we accept lies big and bold. We forget we live on Avery Road.
Hello everybody, this is Eric Jose on Making a Murderer on YouTube. I cover the Stephen Avery and Brendan Dassey cases, but also as time passes I've been covering other cases such as the Staircase or OJ and many wrongful convictions of youth. I go over the documents, the photos, the videos, anything case related. So stay tuned, because I have many more videos, just like the one you're about to see. Oh my God, this is oh my Lord. So Zellner filed again today, folks, and oh my Lord, it's just too. You know what? I mean, if I didn't see it in writing, in a motion to the court, I almost wouldn't believe it. Like, I just almost wouldn't believe it. But anyways, so Zellner filed another supplement letter today to point out another problem that they've noticed because of the ledgers. And then, okay, so when she reached out to the prosecution to kind of figure out what happened, or to find out what the truth of this situation is, basically, they decided that they were going to ignore her. Okay? You might be wondering how she knows this. Wait for it. Okay. So, this is mainly going to be dealing with bone 8675, which is the hip bone, okay, found in the Manitowoc County gravel pit. Now, keep in mind, folks, that Fallon basically has been telling Zellner that the state has that hip bone, that they have it. They were actually making agreements with Zellner to let her test it and stuff like that back about a year ago. And so that was all, and they were negotiating. She was trying to get the skull fragments so that, Chris Palahniuk over at Microtrace could take a look at those, because there was something he noticed in the radial spectrography that he wanted to take a closer look at the actual fragments under his microscope. So they were making a bunch of arrangements to get more evidence to test and all that. And then suddenly Judge Angela Sukowicz, like, boom, came in and ruled on that motion and basically just threw it out, right? So then suddenly, Fallon and the state, they're retreating. They're obviously backing out of any agreements that they were making with Zellner. But the point is they were dealing with her, and they were telling her that they had that hip bone. Well, we know the final pages of KOSHER, and now this ledger are telling us quite a different story. That hip bone was returned, and it's unlikely that the state still has it. Right? So, you guys are about to see here in about a minute or two why I was laughing so hard at the open of this video. So, I'm going to go ahead and show you right now the filing, and then we're going to come on back and talk about it. It's too much, man. It really is. It's too much. My. What has the state done to itself? Well, they're just continuing to look like they are hiding what they did. I mean, it looks like it continues to look like they were desperate to hide what they did with these bones, because obviously we know that the previous page, the final pages of KOSHER, which talked about them giving bones back to the Halbach family. That was not handed over to Stephen's appellate attorney at the time in 2011. We know that her previous supplement that she filed a couple days ago talked about how, Even the ledgers that were sent over, to Stephen's appellate counsel in 2011, even the ledgers fail to log those bones being given back to the Hall box. So that's now two different places where the state was logging that it was giving bones back to the Hall box, but it was not turning that information over to Stephen or his appellate attorneys. And they did not ask Stephen or his appellate attorneys if they could give those bones back to the Hall box, if they could effectively, dispose of evidence. I mean, you say dispose, obviously it's going back to the Hallbach family, but that's effectively disposing of it, and to where Stephen now and Zellner can't test it, or it's going to be quite an ordeal to do, even if they can. But so that's what's happening here. Now, here we have her making this another amendment here, another supplement here, a letter of supplement, because she's talking about the fact that the state has been misleading her in terms, and basically they've been lying to her about having that hip bone. Remember back before Angela Sukowicz denied the motion, she was talking with Fallon and everything. They were making arrangements so that she could get like the skull fragments, so that Chris Palahniuk over at Microtrace could check those out. Obviously, the hip bone, and they were making an agreement to be able to test all these things and everything with Fallon. But because Judge Angela came through and suddenly kiboshed it all, that all dissipated. But the fact of the matter is, he's been telling Zellner all this time that they have the hip bone, and what she's pointing out here today is that the ledgers clearly show it was given back, and so she wants to know what's up. What is it? Do you guys have it or do you not have it? Because according to the paperwork, you don't. And that's what she's basically getting at here. And it goes even just a tiny bit further with I'll just read this and I'll let you guys see it for yourself. So here we are, February 13th, 2019. That's today. And this is her, basically a supplemental letter. She says, "Dear Justices, I will not apologize for being forced to send a second letter to supplement Mr. Avery's pending motion because, as the attached transcript and CD illustrate, the state is trying to deceive undersigned counsel and this court about the status of the pelvic bone, number 8675, which was recovered in 2005 from the Manitowoc gravel pit. The state has continuously represented to undersigned counsel since 2016 that the state was in possession of the pelvic bone, number 8675. Undersigned counsel received a packet of never-before-disclosed ledger sheets on Friday, February 8, 2019. Undersigned counsel noted that the new ledgers showed that the pelvic bone was listed as item number 9. Those of you remember the first video I did, when those ledgers came out on the 8th, first video I did was pointing out number 9 and that it was only human. Basically to me that's an admission by the state that those bones are human, and Teresa's, which they were reluctant to admit at trial. So anyways, so item number 9 as being only human. The September 20th, 2011 police report has been previously provided to this court as Exhibit A to the January 24th, 2019 motion to stay in appeal and remand the cause for proceedings to the on claims for relief in connection with the state's violation of Wisconsin Statute 968.205 and Youngblood versus Arizona. The report indicates that the human bones from number 8675 were separated from the non-human bones, and all the human bones were transferred to the Wheating Funeral Home for return to the Hallbach family. In light of the new information that the pelvic bone, number 8675, was categorized as human and therefore would have been returned to the Hallbach family, undersigned counsel made 2 urgent email requests today to the Assistant Attorney General, Thomas Fallon, attached and incorporated herein as Group 2, to call undersigned counsel immediately on her cell phone to confirm whether or not the state was in possession of the human pelvic bone. Mr. Fallon has consistently Mr. Fallon has consistently represented to undersigned counsel for the last 3 years that the state was in possession of the pelvic bone. Mr. Fallon never returned Ms. Zellner's telephone call and was instructed not to by his co-counsel, attorney Mark Williams. How would she know that, you ask? Well, Attorney Mr. Williams inadvertently called Miss Zellner's cell phone at 9:13 a.m. today and left a message for Mr. Fallon, which stated, "Hi, Tom. This is Mark Williams. I'll send you an email later today, but I don't think we should do anything or respond to her at all until tomorrow. When we look into the bag and see exactly the pelvic bones are in there or not. So I would not respond until we look into the bag tomorrow morning, and then we can talk about it before we send a response. Thanks a lot. Bye." So, oh my Lord. So this guy, Mark Williams, number one, he obviously decides that he wants him and Tom, him and Fallon to just clam up, and not say anything, until they go and look into this bag. But wait a second here. Back on December 18th, we were breaking on this channel that those bones had been given back to the hall box. Zellner eventually filed a motion saying those bones had been given back to the hall box. And now she's finally supplementing. You're telling me that now, right now, at this point in time, 2 months after, the cat got out of the bag, that you guys gave this back 2 months later now, you're suddenly you're going to go down there and look in the bags now? How did this not occur to you to go look into these bags 6 weeks ago, 7 weeks ago? Whatever. I mean, a long time ago, back when this was breaking, and you're just now going to go look into those bags? And then you're such an idiot. You called Zellner thinking it's Thomas Fallon and leave a message explaining how you just want to avoid her. I mean, this is the brain trust over there in Wisconsin right now. Just phenomenal, man. These guys are just on the ball, aren't they? These guys are really, really stellar, aren't they? No. Anyways, so that's what I find interesting there. But there we go. Mark Williams, co-counsel with Tom Fallon, and he called Zellner thinking it was Thomas Fallon and basically explained to her that they just want to avoid her, essentially, is what it's coming down to there in no uncertain terms. But anyways, so it'll be interesting to see if they go and look into these bags and if the state comes up with some kind of response for this. But anyways, moving on. Clearly, for the last 3 years, Mr. Fallon has misrepresented that the state was in possession of the human pelvic bone. On September 18, 2017, Mr. Fallon again misrepresented that the state was in possession of the pelvic bone, number 8675, when he agreed with undersigned counsel to allow microscopic examination of the pelvic bone to determine whether it was human. Specifically, undersigned counsel and Mr. Fallon agreed to have the state's expert, Dr. Leslie Eisenberg, and undersigned counsel's expert, Dr. Stephen Symes, perform a microscopic examination of 8675. Because of the new information produced in the previously undisclosed ledger sheet that number 8675 was determined to be human, undersigned counsel does not know if prior undisclosed testing has occurred prior to the bones being returned to the Halbach family. So that's another point she brings up. She's like, wait a second, has the state already done this testing to be able to determine that these bones were human, when at trial they clearly said they were only possible human? So did the state do some testing in the meantime to determine that these bones were actually human? I mean, and it's a legitimate question, right? Because she's saying, wait a second, how did we go from possible human to these, now all these bones are being shown in the ledger as being only human, or, all that sort of stuff. So how did we get from one point to the other? I mean, that's basically what she's asking there. So that's very interesting. I mean, she's got them now. She's got these guys pinned, especially after that call from that attorney to her, basically outlining how they wanted to, avoid her. I mean, oh my Lord, it just gets better and better with the state here. The freaking brain trust over there in Wisconsin, man, just doing stellar work over there for the state. My Lord. Okay, anyways, undersigned counsel respectfully requests that this court consider this letter and the attached exhibits in its ruling on Mr. Avery's pending motion, particularly his claim that the state has acted in bad faith in violation of Youngblood versus Arizona, and his request for an evidentiary hearing on this matter. So that's basically what we've got there, folks. Very interesting. Like I said, I mean, now now we're just seeing more and more from the state, right? So we have they hid the final pages of KOSHER from Stevens' appellate attorneys in 2011. Didn't turn any of that over. Didn't tell them that they were planning to give bones and biological material back to the Hall box. Then we have it didn't make then they'd also, although it's logged in the ledger that we got on Friday, they also did not send over the copies of the ledger that had the new entries of them giving the bones back on the was it 9/20 of 2011. So we now have that where they held that back. Okay, so that's two things that they were hiding because they were afraid that Stevens' attorneys might find out what they did, that they had given this biological evidence back, that they really weren't supposed to yet, right? So we see that now two different places they were hiding it, and then we have this added thing here today where she basically, after a couple years now of talking to Thomas Fallon and him telling her that they had the pelvic bone, and now she sees in the ledgers and everything else that doesn't seem to be true at all. And now she wants to find out, do they actually have it? Do you guys actually have what you say you have? Because it looks like you don't, right? So now, and then in the response, obviously, from that co-counsel, that Mark Williams, then him calling Zellner, thinking he's calling Fallon, and basically just letting Zellner know that they basically are trying to avoid her. I mean, this is just, it's just, if it wasn't such a train wreck, it would be comical. I mean, and it kind of is comical, but man, if it wasn't such a serious matter, this would be farcical. It would be just a straight up comedy. The idiocy here from the brain trust there in Wisconsin. I mean, it's just unbelievable. All right, so let's run through it, right? At trial, Jerry and Dean are suggesting to the jury that these bone piles that were found in the quarry, in the Manitowoc gravel pit and stuff like that, that suggests that the burn took place over there, and the fact that there's only 40% of Teresa's bones in Stevens' burn pit suggests that they were dumped there, right? Because if it was the original burn site, everything would be there when they sifted it, which they did. They sifted, right? To have anything missing is odd and strange and doesn't really fit. It creates issues, right? Especially when things like rivets of a jean, or the belly button, the button for the jeans, like the waist button, right? For those things to turn up missing in the original burn site is odd, because if you're going to sift that, you should find all that little stuff. It should have all, sifted down into the dirt or whatever, right? So when you have things like that missing, it suggests that it's not the original burn site anyways. But so you have Dean and Jerry suggesting that at trial. Then you have Ken Kratz in his closing arguments, who says he won't even, to the jury, he says, I won't even spend 20 seconds on those bones because the best that we can say about them is that they're possible human. Right? And that's what he says. That's the way he puts it to the jury. Okay. Skip forward to 2011. In 2011, Fallon gone and I think Leslie Eisenberg, whatever, all got together and started looking through these bags that were from these bone piles out in the quarry, and they started picking out bones. Okay? And essentially what it comes down to is they were picking out bones that they believed were human bones because they believed that they were Teresa's bones. Okay? Keeping in mind, couldn't even spend 20 seconds on these bones at trial, but here we are in 2011, painstakingly picking through bags of bones to find the bones they believe are Teresa's. So a KOSHER report is generated, and it's becomes part of KOSHER as we know it, right? That report never ever makes its way over to Stevens' appellate attorneys. The appellate attorneys were never asked if this evidence could be disposed of, and that's what giving it back to the family essentially is. It's essentially disposing of it. So they were never informed of that. And she has an affidavit from Stephen's appellate attorney at the time stating that they were never made aware of this at all. So then you have them giving these bones back and going through it painstakingly, like I said. The KOSHER report not given to Stephen's attorneys. The ledger that was created where they went into the ledger and logged the day that they gave these bones back in the ledger that just came out recently. The updated ledger was never sent over to Stephen's attorneys. The state was trying to hide what they did because they knew it could be a problem. They knew an attorney could come up for Stephen and do exactly what Zellner's doing right now. And they clearly fear that because you can clearly tell that Zellner has them rattled. Okay? Freaking Tom Fallon's co-counsel accidentally called Zellner, thinking it was Fallon. I mean, this is how rattled these guys are, that they accidentally called the competition thinking it was their own team. Rattled. Yeah. I mean, those of you who think Zellner isn't effective, and those of you, you know who you are, I think she's plenty effective. I think she's got these guys knocking heads and tripping over themselves right now. Like, so we'll see what's going to play out here, but you just look. It keeps coming out every day. The state doing something else shady. I mean, you know, or as time goes on, the things that come out, and we have yet to have anything come out that really points at Stephen. It all comes out and points at the state being shady, or, you know, potential planting, whether that was by police officers or by the real killer, whatever it is. But no matter what keeps coming up is showing us that what we were told happened here is not. It's certainly what we were told isn't true. How, you know, what most of it anyways. And so it's hard to have any kind of faith, or, you know, to imagine that this case has any kind of integrity, because the narrative that's been offered is a complete farcical joke. And just like the brain trust over there in Wisconsin. Yeah. I don't know. So, I mean, this is interesting, folks. I mean, it's like Stacy keeps saying. It's like Stacy says in one of his songs, you know, good old Stacy Seabrook, where he says, everything about this case keep getting stranger and stranger. And that's true, because literally that's what's happening. I mean, with all the time that passes, as it continues to pass, more and more things come out that are that just make the state look wacky. Look at Queso 2.0. You know, going back and asking Mike Halbach to go digging through all of his old computers, looking for an image of the RAV4 with the damage to the front blinker light. I mean, things like, just the things that you keep seeing from the state as time goes by. It's just, yeah, it's amazing to really see it and watch, you know, the state and what, you know, and the way that they're handling themselves here. They don't look confident. They look like they want to stay out of court. They look like they are deathly afraid of ending up in court with Zellner. It's kind of the way it looks to me. Just look at you know, Fallon's co-counsel there, Mark, and I mean, he's so rattled, he's calling the competition thinking it's his own team. That's, you know, wow. Right? Anyway. All right, so that was what today was all about. I thought it was very, very interesting. I hope you guys all found it interesting. You know, this isn't really a laughing matter, but it's hard to deny the comical aspect to this with the state. I mean, the brain trust over there is just amazing, right? Anyway, if you haven't already, please hit subscribe, and we'll see you.
Something going on, your freedom is in danger. Agents of the state, they and taking children from the manger. Oh, they will sacrifice your kid. Take Brendan Dassey, that's exactly what they did. They needed someone, oh, Jody wouldn't flip. They looked around, saw him quick. Oh, it made so much sense why. Oh, Brendan Dassey, he was Stephen's alibi. There's something going on in Wisconsin that's not kosher. We better stop, let's all take a look closer. Oh, they will sacrifice your kid for Brendan Dassey, that's exactly what they did. They visit him once, they visit him twice. They make him feel so safe, sandwiches, soda so nice. No cameras rolling and under no lights. Who knows what went on up in Fox Hill Monday night. There's something going on and freedom is in danger. Everything about this kid getting stranger and stranger. All we know, they will sacrifice your kid. Oh, Brendan Dassey, that's exactly what they did. March 1st, alone in a room with Bert and Ernie. No parent present and no attorney. 4 hours later, with a touch of the knee, they finally get Brendan to agree. There's something going on. I said there's something going on. Oh, they will sacrifice your kid. Take Brendan Dassey, that's exactly what they did. There's something going on. I said freedom is in danger when the agents of the state can take the children from the manger. Oh, they will sacrifice your kid. Take Brendan Dassey, that's exactly what they did. Take Brendan Dassey, oh, that's exactly what they did.
He's innocent. The day always comes if you're innocent.
Get on the train before it leaves the station. Wisconsin versus Avery, a complete fabrication. Get on the train before it leaves town. The truth train is coming, gonna run them down, run them down. And we all know Stephen and Brendan were blamed, but it does not take a brain surgeon to see that they were framed. And yes, we know what this was about. The civil suit, the settlement, they did not want to pay out, want to pay out. And you may hear this song, or maybe you don't get it. I suggest you look up TikTok, Manitowoc on Reddit. There you will find trial transcripts, evidence files and reports, and you will start to fathom the corruption within the courts. And as you shake your head because everything seems demented, you will find yourself in company of 3 on-bank judges that dissented. But don't you worry, you're not going insane. You just happen to sit down on Zellner's true train. Get on the train before it leaves the station. Final destination, inevitable exoneration. Get on the train before it leaves town. The truth train is coming, gonna run them down, run them down. Get on the train